Adding a timer to a game like Tic Tac Toe can significantly transform the gameplay experience, adding a layer of excitement and competition that wouldn't be present in a standard, untimed version of the game. While Tic Tac Toe is traditionally a quick game, with no time pressure on the players, the introduction of a timer creates a dynamic shift that elevates the game into something more engaging and strategic. The key change here is that players no longer have the luxury of taking as long as they need to decide on their moves. Instead, they are forced to make quick decisions within a set time limit, which adds a level of urgency to the game. The timer not only affects how players approach the game but also creates a sense of psychological pressure. This pressure can lead to more intense gameplay, where players must balance the speed of their decision-making with the strategies they want to implement. The time limit on each turn forces players to think on their feet, sometimes making split-second decisions that might not be as thoroughly planned as they would be in an untimed game. This can lead to a more exciting experience, as the quick-paced nature of the game heightens tension and makes every move more significant. Even though Tic-Tac-Toe is a simple game at its core, the introduction of a timer can make it feel like a high-stakes competition, especially when players are under pressure to act quickly. Furthermore, adding a timer introduces an element of fairness into the game. In a traditional Tic-Tac-Toe setup, there's often a significant advantage for players who tend to deliberate longer over their moves, especially if their opponent is quicker or more impulsive. With a timer in place, both players are forced to play within the same time constraints, which ensures that no one has an unfair advantage due to their decision-making pace. This leveling of the playing field can make the game feel more balanced and equitable, fostering a competitive spirit that might be lacking in the original, slower-paced format. Players are encouraged to rely not only on their strategic thinking but also on their ability to manage their time effectively. The timer doesn't just add pressure, it also adds an element of skill, where managing one's time becomes an essential part of the game. A timer also ensures that the game keeps moving forward at a steady pace. Without a time constraint, players might find themselves lingering on decisions, taking longer than necessary for each move, and potentially drawing out the game unnecessarily. This can sometimes lead to frustration, especially if the game goes on for longer than expected. By adding a timer, each turn has a defined beginning and end, which keeps the game flowing smoothly. A well-placed timer also ensures that the game doesn't become stagnant or lose momentum, maintaining a brisk and engaging pace that keeps both players involved. The ticking clock adds an underlying sense of urgency, prompting players to make their decisions quickly, without overthinking. In addition to making the game more competitive and dynamic, a timer can also increase replay value. With each game, players are faced with the challenge of adapting to a limited time frame, meaning that no two games will be exactly alike. The variability in how quickly a player can think and act creates a wide range of possible outcomes, adding an unpredictable and exciting element to each match. This unpredictability keeps players engaged and invested in the game, as they are always challenged to think quickly and adapt to their opponent's strategies. The timer can also be a fun way to spice up multiplayer sessions, adding a shared experience of stress and excitement that both players can enjoy. When implementing a timer into Tic-Tac-Toe, there are various options for customizing the timer to fit the preferences of the players. For instance, some games might have a fixed time limit per turn, while others might offer a countdown for the entire match. A fixed timer ensures that players stay within a set pace, regardless of the situation, while a countdown for the entire match could create an overall sense of time pressure, forcing players to make quicker decisions as they race to finish the game. Depending on the timer settings, players might also have the option to pause or extend their time if needed. Having flexibility in how the timer works can add further customization to the game, giving players control over their experience while still maintaining the core element of time pressure. Adding a timer in Tic Tac Toe also introduces the potential for time tournaments and competitive play, where players can go head-to-head in fast-paced matches that emphasize both strategy and speed. In such settings, the timer becomes an integral part of the competitive atmosphere, ensuring that all players have the same constraints and adding an extra layer of excitement to the event. Tournament-style play, in particular, thrives under timed conditions, as it allows multiple rounds to take place in a limited amount of time, without the game dragging on. A well-managed tournament with a timer can foster an intense and fun environment, where the stakes are higher and every second counts. On a broader level, the introduction of a timer in Tic Tac Toe can serve as a valuable lesson for both developers and players. For developers, adding a timer introduces a new layer of technical complexity, requiring careful consideration of how the timer functions within the game. There are practical concerns, such as how the timer interacts with the game board, how it communicates with players, and how to ensure it doesn't interfere with the flow of the game. Managing the countdown, resetting the timer when needed, and displaying it clearly to the player are just some of the challenges that need to be addressed. For players, the timer serves as a way to enhance their cognitive skills, encouraging quick thinking, decision-making under pressure, and time management. This makes the game more than just a casual pastime, it becomes an exercise in mental agility and focus, providing both entertainment and a challenge. Ultimately, the inclusion of a timer in Tic Tac Toe makes the game more exciting, competitive, and engaging. It introduces a new level of urgency that enhances the overall experience for players, pushing them to think quickly, make snap decisions, and compete against the clock as much as their opponent. The timer not only adds tension and excitement but also promotes fairness by ensuring that all players are held to the same time standards. Whether it's a casual match between friends or a more intense competitive session, the timer transforms Tic Tac Toe into a game of strategy, speed, and mental agility. Enhancing the user interface, UI, of a game like Tic Tac Toe is one of the most impactful ways to improve the overall player experience. While Tic Tac Toe is simple in terms of gameplay mechanics, the visual and interactive elements of the game can significantly shape how enjoyable the game is to play. A well-designed UI is not just about making things look appealing, but about improving the usability, engagement, and clarity of the game, ensuring that players can easily navigate and interact with it. A great UI makes the game feel polished, professional, and immersive, all while maintaining a balance between functionality and aesthetics. The UI of a Tic Tac Toe game is often the first thing a player notices when they start the game. The design choices, colors, fonts, and overall layout all play a significant role in creating a positive first impression. A clean and minimalist UI can make the game feel more inviting, as it ensures that players are not overwhelmed by excessive clutter or confusing elements. In contrast, a poorly designed UI with too many competing visual elements can detract from the experience, leaving players frustrated or confused. For example, the Tic Tac Toe grid itself should be visually clear, with enough contrast between the X's and O's and the background, ensuring that players can easily identify the current state of the game. In addition to visual appeal, the UI should be user-friendly and intuitive. Every interaction should feel natural and easy to understand. Buttons should be clearly labeled, and actions like starting a new game, restarting the board, or viewing the score should be simple to access. This ensures that players don't have to spend time figuring out how to perform basic tasks, allowing them to focus on the game itself. The placement of elements, such as the game's score, the player's turn indicator, and the timer, if included, should be logically organized, preventing clutter and ensuring that players can easily find what they need without feeling lost. When a player can quickly figure out how to navigate through the interface, it improves their overall experience and makes the game feel more accessible. Animation is another powerful tool in enhancing the UI of Tic Tac Toe. Smooth, subtle animations can bring a sense of life to the game.